Hey you guys, today I'm going to talk about The Preachers of Atlanta, season 1, episode 2. I know I'm late. Sorry, apologize. But if I would have did this video when I first saw this, I tried to, and I would say I was in my feelings. But we're going to get into this episode and try to get through it. Some people I have took the pastor title of me calling them pastor. But hey, it is what it is. Y'all put yourself on reality TV. So Pastor Corey is talking to his wife. They're exercising. But before I get into that, it wasn't me, but I felt some kind of way about his shirt. His shirt say, "Sun's out, guns out," and I said, okay, as a man, I don't think you should be wearing that as a black man. Because people just can take them words all kind of ways. And as a pastor and a black man, you just have to think about how you represent yourself outside. I'm just saying. So, him and his wife was talking about Antonio and how he felt Antonio was going to take off on him or whatever. But he feel like, he can help him. And I said, okay, I can see where this is going. And I think he can help him too. Y'all know I like him. It's something about Pastor Corey that I can relate to. I get. So, I was cool with that. So he wants to have this panel talk called Code Red, and it's about stopping what you're doing in communication. It's between a communication panel between cops on one side and the community on one side, and just to see where we can see how people can work together. So I was all here for that. He said he was gonna call Canton Jones. Somebody, I took his title, I'm just saying. I can't call you pastor. But yeah, he said he was gonna call him to work with him. And Canton wanted to have a sit down with him anyway. So Kimberly has a sit down with Leandria. And I like Kimberly, but I felt some kind of way about the way she went about this conversation because just for the simple fact, I'm not with you asking people questions about their personal life. If they want to talk about it, let them bring it up. But you don't. I'm just not with that. So she was asking her about her husband and how have she met the woman. And we find out this episode that Leandria said that yes, she has met the woman. The woman came to the church with the baby and her husband. And I'm like, So y'all couldn't go to their house. Y'all couldn't meet them somewhere. Y'all just show up with the baby at the church. But we find out this happened 3 years ago. This baby is 3 years old. And I'm like, really? So why are we just now getting this storyline? Why are we just now working this? And even if y'all just found out, even with this other woman, did she put the baby off on her husband and did we find out the baby wasn't his? I don't know. But yes, it do happen in a lot of families. And they brought up the whole conversation of condoms and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still with Pastor Kimberly on, I'm not with her passing out condoms. I'm just not. That's the way I was raised. I'm just not with it. And then they talked about porn. And I just was like, okay, I just don't want to know a pastor watching porn. Maybe, okay, if that's what how y'all get down, y'all married, whatever. But, But then I was like, is it a sin of you watching and looking at another person, naked body, having them thoughts? Can y'all please, the church people, answer that question? Like, is that wrong for, is it a sin for church people that say they saved to be sitting there watching other people naked bodies and getting aroused like that? Maybe I should, I need to brush up on the Bible. I don't understand this situation, this new way of church. I don't get it, but okay. So Canton and Corey had to sit down, and I didn't like this situation at the beginning either because I'm not with people having pop-up surprise guests, and they were supposed to sit down, and Canton did apologize for the way it went down at the listening party, but I was just, and then gonna say, well, he's here because he had a studio session, and I'm like, you couldn't have called him and asked him, was it okay if he be there and all that kind of stuff, because you knew he had a studio session. I felt some kind of way. But anyway, moving along. So Antonio comes out and they have this sit down about being a cop once again and how Antonio feel about cops once again and how he just don't like them, and he expresses his pain and say the system is tough on black people, and I get it. I get both sides of this situation because I just look at things differently. So I don't always look at everybody is out to get you. Everybody is wrong. All cops are evil. I don't believe that. So I look at this a lot differently. I look at this kind of like Pastor Corey looks at this. Because I feel like it's all about communication when it comes to cops and the community. Um, and so anyway, they was talking about how to talk to police and all that kind of stuff, and the cops' reactions to people, and don't run from the police and all this kind of stuff. And I was looking at Canton a little differently because I'm like, he's jumping up, getting hostile, and kind of fueling the fire with Antonio. And I'm like, as a pastor and a man of God, you're getting into your feelings as a man, and you're not helping this situation to mend this with these two men, because you popping off and saying, what you mean don't run? Yeah, I'm sorry. I have the same reaction when it comes to not running, because I'm sorry. I rather, and I get where Antonio's saying that we're getting things on film and nothing still is done, but I still would want my son to take the chance of not running and telling his story than running and never getting his story told. Um, I just really want people to really think about that, because running is not making this situation no better. It's never going to make it better, because then they have justified reasons to shoot you. So I just don't want people to run. I don't care if you gotta just be over there fighting and just letting somebody film it and tell your story like that, but never run. And I know we having these people where we making it to jail and they never coming home. Oh my God! So it's all kind of ways you can look at this story, and this is why it took me a minute to do this episode, because I was in my feelings and trying to see all sides of this situation and trying to not be so emotional at the same time as a mother having black sons and them having to go through this, and they're young, and although I have boys from 8 to 19. So I get it where they have to watch the police. They have to watch girls' family members because they dating girls. They have to watch the boys outside because of what color they have on or what neighborhood they live in. You know what I'm saying? And just everyday life as boys being, at school and stuff like that. So I have to worry about that as a mom. So I get both sides of this situation. He invited them to the seminar, the little panel, and Canton was on board, but Antonio said no. I'm like, somebody really needs to help this man, and the way he is going, I don't see it for him. Pastor Judah is and his family, his mom, dad, and brothers, they're all sitting around, and this was such an edited conversation. I was just like, huh? But we find out the mom is selling her house. Then we get on a conversation about the dad being gay in the church and how people walked out and how they lost this $25 million church and all this kind of stuff. And his one brother said he preaches gospel of rock and roll. I said I would like to see that. I just really would. It just seemed like they all free spirited and fun and loving. And he was saying how he was trying to hide that he was gay from one woman, and I guess I don't know if Judah mama knew he was gay and then she just couldn't take it. I don't know how that panned out. Tell me anything. I don't know. I don't even care. But I do know, and I agree when they were saying that the church and they have this power of homophobia and how the church can just be really rough on the people that is really hurting. So I really get their storyline. Leandria and Forrest at the nail shop, and he's trying to make it up to her and get her pampered and apologize for not being supportive. And he says she's very, very supportive and he loves her and yada, yada, yada. And they just want to deal with the whole baby situation because she just want to step up to the plate and do what they have to do. He don't seem to about taking care of this baby, whether it's his or not. I don't know what that situation is. But he tried to talk around that. But I'm just like, it's weird. It's just weird to me. Why do I keep getting the sound? I don't know. But anyway. So, hold on. So anyway, Corey shows up to Antonio's hood. And he has a problem with... He has a problem with, what's his name? Pastor Canton. He has a problem with Pastor Canton or whatever. And, hold on, y'all. Sorry. But yeah, he has a problem with Pastor Canton, Corey, coming to the hood or whatever. But I'm sitting there like, why are you hanging outside in the middle of the daytime? Why are you supposed to be the man of rapping for God and you hanging out on the streets and trying to make your life different? Hanging out with a group of guys and then wonder why you get caught up in certain situations. Then they talked about policing in the neighborhood, and he said he didn't want the police to be coming up where it was DC 6 or something like that. That's the drug neighborhood with drugs, and I'm sitting there like, huh? You sound real dumb as a dude rapping about God and people getting saved and all that kind of stuff. I didn't understand that situation. But they talked, and then he introduced him to these guys, and they all talked about their feelings about the police or whatever. And this one man said he was in prison for, wrongly accused or whatever. But the way he wouldn't shake Pastor Corey's hand, I felt some kind of way. I'm like, I felt what Pastor Corey was saying, like, I'm not in a suit, and you still won't shake my hand as a man. Like, that says something about your character and not him as a police officer, like, for real. But he invited them to the little panel. They looked at him like, whatever. Judah and his friend talked about the church and how he just want to make a change in the church and he just want to focus on love all people regardless of where they come from, because the church really shut him out and it really wasn't his fault. That his father came out and all that kind of stuff, and his father who he is, that's his father. What was he supposed to do? Hate his father because of that? He felt like that was crazy and that's not what he wants to preach. And he had a hard time about if he should even come back to the ministry because of what the church had done to him. I was like, wow, that is so crazy. And I like when he said it's not about the steeple, it's about the people. And I said, oh my God, I wish other people would get that part. So Canton has a poker game and they playing for jelly beans, but I'm like, isn't that still a form of gambling? Whatever. Corey comes by and they talk about Antonio and how he went to the hood and talked to him, and he just really wants to help him and stuff like that. And then they talked about bringing Pastor Bullock from Preachers of Detroit, and I said, why? He's too controversial. Like, I didn't understand why, because he's never, to me, he's not level-headed. He doesn't see both sides, so I didn't understand him coming. And even he was saying, I'm going to be real, and I'm going to be this, and I'm like, this is telling you that he's going to try to be seen, and that's what he did. So anyway, Leandria and her husband, go take a DNA test to see if the baby is his. We'll find out one way or another. I don't know. The panel talk come, and they introduce this guy to, be like the mediator or whatever, and then he has everybody going around saying what one word they comes to mind when they say the word cop. So the cops goes down the line. It was like protection, shield, law. Then you get community side, and it was threat, business, and Antonio says scary. So then they start telling the police start telling why they said shield and all this. And then here come the community was, giving their rebuttal of how they feel or whatever. So I was just like, okay, this is not going to go right. So then the way Pastor Corey told, what's his name? Antonio to come up and one of the officers to come up. He told them to come up. The white officer walks up. Antonio walks up like fixing his clothes and all that kind of stuff. So Pastor Corey showed them like when you do that, that is a sign that can be called pre-assault something. And I was like, I can get where he coming from, especially the way he came up. It wasn't even called for all that. So before I even go into he said, she said, they said, it's all about police and how the police, deal with the community. And I also agree with Pastor Corey when he says it's also about the community and how the community reacts to the police when they approach. I have seen kids. Now, when we were kids, we wanted to be police officers and lawyers and fire trucks and trash men and stuff like that. We were taught that in elementary school. But nowadays, these kids are taught to not like the police, not trust the police. I have seen people walk up on their kids and snatch them and say, we don't talk to them. You don't talk to them. And not even knowing that the police was sitting there trying to just say, hey, and get a kid stickers and be friendly. I have seen parents do that kind of stuff in the inner city. So don't act like we don't do it. Don't act like we don't give them a hard time. Yes, police do be out of line and pulling people over and for unnecessary just because they want to see who in the car. They want to see who it is walking down the street. They do that. But at the same time, I was just talking to someone about this, like, even though we know this is what it is, we still live in America and we have to know how to live in America. You know what I'm saying? And it's not going to happen with a magic wand overnight. You know what I'm saying? But can we make it to overnight? Can we not? And then I didn't understand. See, that's why I said Pastor Bullock is very confrontational and he wasn't the right man for the job. I don't think this panel had enough people in there as the community side to have an open mind of this. They came in there on the defense and not to have an open mind. The police trying to explain what they do, how they do it, and it was just like, I'm on attack mode, I'm on defense, instead of listening to what they said. Like the police said, it's not about who you are, it's when I walk up and then you got an attitude, you doing this, you moving, you doing this, instead of just waiting, let me talk and then talk to me calmly. I have seen people say, what you want, or why you harassing me? I mean, just off back. As soon as the police ask a question of what y'all doing out here, first of all, what you doing out there? What are you just standing outside for? Do nobody have a home that y'all can go hang out if y'all doing something good and productive? I'm just saying, don't act like we not in the hood just standing out doing wrong shit. You know what I'm saying? There is some kids that don't do wrong stuff, and like he said, there's polices need to know how to deal with certain situations. But I'm with Pastor Corey. Like, please take accountability of the bad shit that we do or the reactions that we do to cause a defense from the police. Don't act like we don't do it. We do it. We get smart with them because we feel like we ain't did nothing wrong. So I can say what I want to say. I can do what I want to do. We can't. We can only try to live and make it to the next day. I'm just saying. Once we realize that, a lot of us will be in a better place. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying I want to live for the next day. I want my kids to make sure we live for the next day. I don't want to think that I'm right and I got the right away and I know the law and then I be the one that somebody is crying over. I don't want that to happen for me or my kids. So that's basically what happened on the Preachers of Atlanta. That's my thoughts of it. Y'all tell me y'all thoughts. Sorry about this life situation. I'm trying to work on that. I'm just saying. Yeah. But I really support this show because it gives me something to talk about. It has great storylines in the show. So I'm all here for it. Y'all tell me y'all thoughts about this. It's not about who saved really right now on this episode. I really want to have the discussion of how y'all think, what y'all thought about the Code Red situation. Leandria and them, they just on here for TV. I don't know. But y'all, that one is a storyline I want to talk about, and also the Judah storyline. It's also a good storyline I want to talk about. But them other storylines, y'all tell me, talk to me, I'll talk back. Follow me on all social media sites by The Ghetto View, THA, not THE, and I'll talk to y'all in the next video. Peace.